So much of playing over the years has been with such a focused goal in mind. Growing up, practicing for lessons, learning the notes, learning the new techniques. When I let myself go completely when I'm playing and throw the goals out the window, I do end up improvising, sometimes writing tunes that are rooted in that fiddle tradition that I grew up with. Women have always been making music. Whether or not it was being heard, championed, celebrated, commissioned, paid for, we've always been making music because we've always had something to say.
In the world of chamber orchestras and string groups, a lot of those composers are men. A lot of those composers are old white men.
Historically in Irish music, you wouldn't have heard a lot of women playing. You wouldn't have heard of a lot of women playing, especially if we're going back 100 years. There were women playing music, but a lot of times it was done behind closed doors and we didn't hear about it.
Josie, can it be swingier, please?
Palaver Strings is a string ensemble and chamber orchestra and nonprofit based in Portland, Maine. We are a musician-led group, which means we don't have a conductor or an artistic director. We all take turns being artistic directors on different pieces and for different projects. We got to this point in March 2020, like a lot of ensembles, where we realized we couldn't really do anything live for a while, so we thought, why not make an album? The concept for the Ready or Not album, playing music all composed by women, that had been our last live concert pre-pandemic in February. It seemed like a really important thing to put something out into the world at a really high level. There was so much from every era, every style you could possibly imagine. How would we possibly choose 60 or so minutes of music to represent on this album?
So when I first heard Irish music, it was the sound of it. I had never heard the violin make those kinds of sounds. Suddenly it was a rhythmic entity. It was something that was generating this really deep groove. It was joyous and sad all at the same time. The music is very full of melancholy, but it's also full of an incredible joy that I hadn't really found in classical music. I think of all fiddling styles as being a tradition that's based in certain people from certain places from certain time periods. It's kind of the most human form of music. It's folk music. It's music of people.
The original idea was to put together a set of fiddle tunes, all by women fiddlers, including a tune of mine, and hopefully working with somebody directly, and Liz was sort of top of the list.
What Lizzie has done with this set, with Treehouse, the jig that I composed, and the 4 Street reel at the end, is kind of put an idea of a little journey through some music.
The reel that I wrote, 4 Street, it's a more sort of modern melody, but Liz turned it back in on itself and made it more traditional, and we sort of put those both in the arrangement, which I think worked really, really well.
It was just such a pleasure to be kind of present to watching this emergence of discovery in composition and arrangement, and I would do it 1,000 times over again. It was a delight.
I was asked to write this piece for Palaver I had never written for a chamber orchestra, and I really had no idea what I was going to write about. Emmett Till was a young black boy from the south side of Chicago. When he was younger, he had polio, and it had left him with certain disabilities, in particular a stutter. So his mother had taught him how to whistle to relax his throat. He ended up going to visit family for the summer in Money, Mississippi. While he was out, he allegedly saw a pretty white woman and whistled at her, or whistled to himself about her beauty, with this added nuance to the story that may not have even been true. They tracked him down and dragged him and beat him mercilessly. That's supposedly why he was killed. The second movement I've named Gorgeous and Gallant, Gory and Galvanizing. In that movement, you have a theme that's set up, and every time it repeats, because it keeps repeating, it becomes more and more distorted and mangled, which is really highlighting what's happening to him, his body, during that attack. And at the end of that movement, there's just the group whistling in this haunting kind of way. Really highlighting the fact that, well, anyone can whistle. Was it even worth going through all of that over a whistle?
For as long as I can remember, music was something that wanted to come out of me. I think often as musicians, you spend so much time just in a practice room by yourself, learning the notes. It can be easy to lose sight of why you do what you do. Being a part of Palaver, we want to share our music with our audiences in a way that's really joyful and relevant to the modern world. It's difficult to be, one of 13 co-artistic directors making decisions by consensus. But it's also really rewarding and worth it because we all have a say in what goes out the door. And it's special.